I'm going to share a prayer here from somebody called Brother Klaus in Switzerland. I don't know much about it, but it says the paragraph above that whoever Brother Klaus was, there was a lot of tension between the cantons or states in Switzerland. And he attended a peace meeting, and it was very clear to him that they were not going to have peace. So he said, before you go to war, let me offer this prayer. And the story is, whether it's true or not, I don't know, that the prayer itself brought peace to the hearts of those at the assembly, and they did not go to war. My Lord and my God, take everything from me that keeps me from thee. My Lord and my God, give everything to me that brings me near to thee. My Lord and my God, take away from myself and give me completely to thee. Amen. Any thoughts about our closing chapter?
Well, last time I saw you, I had spilled papers on the floor. Those were all the pages that I wanted to ask you about. So that was lost. And so, yeah, I was kind of excited about this book. And I don't have a way of telling you what it meant to me, the whole book. I mean, not now anyway. But it brought out ideas that I'd never thought about. It kind of like sparked ideas. And one of them is I marked in a page where I wondered how could this be when he's talking about, Cahill's talking about, that we would never have had any peace marches or any
sort of social justice movements.
Social justice.
Yes, I remember that
protests
page.
and ideas and consciousness.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, well, what do you mean? What is he getting at here? He's saying it is a progression from the Israelites and their departure from the Greeks. Is that what he's saying? And then,
well, their departure from other religions that preceded them. Mm-hmm.
That preceded the initial awakening after the Greeks?
That preceded the Hebrew religion.
Oh, I see. So he's speaking in more of a modern...
And the Hebrew religion is older than Greek religion.
Oh, so I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. So one of the questions I have for him is exactly who's the boogeyman in the story? He doesn't come right out and say, who are all these other religions that are defective? I have some bones to pick with this book.
Oh,
but
this is what you were getting at a lot, yeah.
The first week I expressed some of this, and now that I've actually read the whole book, I still feel about the same way. But I don't know that he makes a strong argument for anything in his book. I don't think he's trying to. I think he's just writing more like an essay than a real scholarly book. But he does not come right out and say that Judaism is better than Hinduism and Buddhism. But I have a feeling that's what he means. And it bothers me. And the idea that Judaism has a linear, processive, he uses that term, processive,
right,
view of history.
Yeah.
And all these other lesser religions before Judaism have this wheel, this evil wheel theology. So I don't think he makes that argument. I don't even think he knows enough about Hinduism and Buddhism to even imply that. Nowhere do I get a sense that he really appreciates these other religions he seems to be comparing Judaism to negatively. And I don't think he makes the point either about how does Judaism uniquely lead to social justice movements. I'm puzzled. I'm just puzzled by it. And Cahill's not here to defend himself.
Well, that changes.
But
Go ahead.
one thing about that is there is a clear social justice emphasis in the Hebrew prophets.
All right.
Amos, Hosea, Joel, Isaiah, Jeremiah. But to say that this makes Judaism unique, I don't get it. There's a very strong core of social concern in Hinduism and Buddhism.
Sure.
Which preceded, well, Judaism is as ancient as Hinduism. I mean, it's so ancient, nobody even knows when it started. Buddhism is more clear, it's 6th century BC, but Buddhism was a spin-off of Hinduism in a sense. But all these faiths have a very deep moral core. And also the individual plays a very important role in these. And he seems to say that the Western emphasis on individual rights, individual dignity comes out of Judaism, and without Judaism, that would never have happened.
It's not that he said it.
I don't get it, Nancy.
So here's what in fact, actually, that was not the way I read it.
Mm.
I read it that, well, now that I think about it, I should have gotten it, because what I read it is that since the Jews came on the scene and proclaimed what they believed and had followers that grew, and civilization that was, the civilization that was Jewish, I never pinned it on to the Jews that there was this sanctity that and the sanctity is what blew my mind. What he meant by sanctity was, and then he says it somewhere else, was that God, I use this word God like a person, it's proof of God that civilization, not just Jews, that the human race, and I have questions about, is it only the humans, or how about the animals? Through the centuries became better and grew and got along better and knew the moral way of living, that was a gift from God. But, and then I took it to mean that must mean that all of our incentives to do better, to go to graduate school, for God's sakes, is an act of God, and I didn't buy that. But I thought that's what he was telling us, that all the growth that we have as human beings and the mutations that the animals have as they grow longer claws because they need them, et cetera, is what God is all about. And then I decided that this is so positive. Why doesn't one of my sons get inspired to go, beyond his little painting business, which is making him sick, and think about something better for himself, which he doesn't seem to do. And then I was off to the races about. So I got off into something goofy about inspiration,
I'm not sure he says that that's from God. He says it's from the unique Jewish view of God, definition and understanding of God.
Is that right?
The God who declared God's self to be a personal God. This is a reference to the burning bush where God reveals God's name to Moses, which is, I am who I am, and I will be with you. That's emphasized here.
You're saying that my son might have more incentive if he was Jewish? Is that what he's saying?
he's saying that Judaism has given this legacy, has bequeathed this legacy to the world. And that without, if I read him right, and without Judaism, the world would be devoid of these blessings.
Of these what?
Blessings, these,
Oh,
his final paragraph on 241, which is not his final paragraph of the book, but it could have been. And I almost read it like it was, and then he decided to add another chapter.
I know paragraph, the Jews gave us the outside and the inside.
You might have different page numbers, but no, I think you're right. Oh, you started on 240.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
We dream Jewish dreams.
Yeah, I mean the very last sentence, the most of our best words.
Oh, I see. Most of our best words, in fact, new, adventure, surprise, unique, individual, person, location, time, history, future, freedom, progress, spirit, faith, hope, justice. Gifts of the Jews.
And he means not only the words, he means the concepts
Right,
behind the words and how the concepts are lived out
right.
in social history. That is such a broad claim, and I think it's, what is he saying again about about primal religions in Africa?
How about, couldn't it be just the gift of God? But would that make you
His
happy?
book is not about who God is. His book is about how the Jews understand God. But your question's relevant because he seems to be saying that if the Jews had not had this distinct understanding of God coming out of their history, their stories, their experiences of God, then the rest of the world would not also have this experience of God. God would be understood as a different, more capricious, arbitrary, aloof, uncaring. So like, well, if you make a mess of it, I don't care. That's the kind of God that we would think of when we think of the word God. He's not arguing objectively who or what God is. He's arguing that because of the Jews, Christianity and Judaism, certainly, he doesn't say a word about Islam in the book, which is interesting, does he? I don't remember, yeah. But he might throw in Islam because Islam also has a fervent, strong belief in a monotheistic God. And Islam came along after both Christianity and Judaism. So he might throw on the big three monotheistic faiths in saying that because the Jewish faith sort of gave birth to the others, that we in the West and also elsewhere in the world have this understanding of God as caring, as concerned about the individual, caring about social progress, social equality. I think I don't think the book's even long enough for him to make that argument. It's such a big argument to make. What this book seems to me to be about, Nancy, is a passionate retelling of some of the favorite Old Testament stories, with a secondary goal of making this unsubstantiated claim about the Jewish view of history and the uniqueness of Jewish contributions to Western thought and civilization. That would take 5, 6, 7 very big books to make that argument. I don't think he does it.
Now, it's so interesting. I didn't quite get that because I don't have enough background to sense it like you. But now that you've told me that, my next question is, is he Jewish? Or do
He
we
is
not
not.
know?
He is not. He is Christian.
Good, I'm glad, because he's on the outside looking in.
Well, somewhat.
So,
But let's remember that all Jews and Christians share the same Bible.
The same Old Testament.
Yeah.
They don't
So,
read the New Testament, obviously, right?
right, but Jews and Christians share the same 39 books of the Hebrew
Oh, okay.
Bible. So, and Jesus was a Jew, and Paul was a Jew, and Peter was a Jew, right? The early
Right.
church came out of the
Right.
Jewish movement. So I don't think any Christian who looks at Judaism is completely looking from the outside in.
No, I agree.
It's part of our heritage. That I agree with him.
Mhm.
But interestingly, he doesn't talk about that in this book either.
No.
He doesn't talk about how Christianity reflects Judaism. Now, his next book after this one was about Christianity. And so this is a book number 2 in a planned series of 7.
Oh,
He never got to number 7, but he did 6 of the 7 books about turning points in history that made the West what it is.
so what is book, have you read book 3?
No, that's the one on Christianity. And then one of them is on the Greeks.
Is it going to be Christianity, what they gave the modern world and what the Greeks did?
Yes, yeah. So each one is about the gifts in
I
a
see.
sense. Or not just gifts. That's not, he uses that word for this book, obviously, but it's more like if it weren't for this group of people, we wouldn't be who we are today in the West.
Mhm.
It was certain, he calls it hinges. In fact, that's the name of the series, Hinges of History.
This is getting more complicated. So I thought of this book this morning. I was watching, I don't know, YouTube. I listen to a lot of music on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So I was watching Cahill, which was a full-length ballet, and really getting excited. And I thought about music, and somehow I got into my brain that the Jewish music is different for, oh, I know, I was listening to WFMT on my walk and they had Christmas music on. And in the middle of it, because they're selling some disc, and in the middle of it, they had a Hanukkah song. And it was klezmer music. And it was, and then I started thinking of the book. It had nothing to do with Cahill. And so I thought, well, this is Eastern music. This isn't Bach and Handel. Klezmer is Eastern European.
That's right.
And so I was thinking, well, this is the Jews are still wandering. And so I looked up klezmer.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a troubadour Jew and I got the idea they were itinerant, it said the word.
Mm.
And so I thought of the book and that, they were still wandering, looking for a home. And that their music was nothing like ours. And their Christmas, of course, is nothing like ours. But their music was a shock when I thought of it in the context of our traditions in music.
Yeah, he doesn't discuss that much in this book.
No, he
either.
doesn't, but it brought to mind the history of these people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, Judaism can be considered either a religion or an ethnicity.
Yes.
And as an ethnicity, it's like any other ethnicity. It has unique subgroups, unique foods, unique music, unique dress, right?
Right.
And unique social history in terms of acceptance and rejection.
Yes.
Lord, we know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, second book, third, this is the second book. The third book is called Desire of the Everlasting Hills, The World Before and After Jesus. How an obscure rabbi from a backwater of the Roman Empire came to be a central figure in Western civilization. And the fourth book was Sailing the Wine Dark Sea, Why the Greeks Matter.
Mm.
And the fifth book was Mysteries of the Middle Ages.
My goodness.
And the, sixth 6th book, Heretics and Heroes, How Renaissance Artists and Reformation Priests Created Our World. And the 7th book, I don't even know what the title was, but I read a little biography of Thomas Cahill. He became interested in the case of an African-American man in Texas who was executed for a crime he may not have committed. And his little biography said that project took him away from book number 7 in this series. That's all I know about Thomas Cahill.
Yeah. Well, I was getting into the idea that this faith is a progression. I was getting that.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what religion, that it grew and became more. I don't think of this as the religion, Jewish or Christian. I was just thinking of the betterment of civilization and more in tune with all religions.
Yeah, he does make that point. It's a good point that religions evolve just like planet Earth evolves and the universe evolves. Individuals evolve, right?
That's what I liked, is that individuals evolve as if that was a spark from the creator, as if suddenly, the garden of, what is the garden of what? Help me out.
Eden?
Yeah, made a little more sense symbolically about how we are born in sin. Are we born in sin? Is that the idea? That we have to get better?
That's the idea of original sin, which is not actually found in the Bible, but it's a Catholic teaching.
Oh, excuse me. Oh,
that started with Augustine.
that's good to know.
It's
I thought they were
Augustine's.
throwing that at me from the very beginning of the Garden of Eden.
It's Augustine's reading of the Garden of Eden story.
Well, right off the bat, they weren't going to talk to me.
There's no original sin in the early church.
Oh,
That doctrine started with Augustine and took off from there. One thing I've been wanting to say to somebody about this book is this wheel business. It really bothers me because I don't get it.
tell me why.
Well, I see it as a direct put down of Hinduism, which I find to be a beautiful religion. And the flag of India has a wheel on it. This is why it bothers me. He seems to be dismissing, 1.3 billion people on Earth and their experience of the divine. Because the wheel is a chakra, actually from Buddhism, but it's meant to symbolize the Indian philosophy of life. And I did some research on why they decided in 1947 to put the wheel on the flag of India.
Which was, I know that's when my grandson's parents came. He was hidden in a Weber grill, his father, to avoid this other element, the Muslims, who had come into Pakistan.
At petition.
Yes, at petition time.
Partition.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, but I interrupted you. So
I would love to hear about that because I was, I visited India and I visited the borderland there between Pakistan and India, where the line was drawn.
Yes.
And I read some books about that. Anyway.
So they put the flag and what year?
Put the wheel.
The wheel on the flag.
Well, India and Pakistan both received their independence in 1947.
47.
Gandhi was assassinated the next year in 48. But anyway, the wheel. So I always thought, what does the wheel mean to an Indian? Why did they put the wheel there? Does it mean, as Cahill so pejoratively argues, that life's just an endless cycle of no progress and kind of do as you're told and you can't help yourself? And he seems to be implying that. I was shocked, and I wish Cahill were here to hear this. The The wheel was put on the Indian flag to symbolize progress, moving forward, not staying where you are. The opposite of what he thinks is so evil about the wheel philosophy. And you think about a wheel, what does a wheel imply? Not just turning around in the same place. It implies forward motion.
That's true.
So what the hell, what is his problem with the
I have an
wheel?
answer. Isn't it true that the Muslims are in majority in India over the Hindus?
No.
Oh, what is that? What's the balance
Yeah,
there?
Muslims are like 13, 15% or so of the Indian population. A very small percentage are Christian and Sikh, Jain, Parsi, and then a vast majority of Indians are Hindu.
Is that
80.
47 or today? Or is that doesn't
Today.
matter?
Yeah, I don't know how that's changed over time.
Because
My guess, it has not changed greatly after partition. But India is basically a Hindu country in terms of percentages.
I didn't know that.
But there are, because there's 14, 15% Muslims in India, and India is so populous, that makes India one of the largest Muslim countries. Just because you take 15% of 1.2 or 3 billion people,
right.
That's a lot of people.
Are most, and then I was a reason for this, are most of the people in India in 1947 religious, be it
Sure.
Hinduism or
And today.
Muslim, and today.
Yeah.
Oh, so there isn't any element of people like me.
It's a deeply religious country.
Yeah, I thought so.
I met an atheist in India and was like, what? I met this man on a bus. We, great conversation and everything. He said, I don't believe in God. It's like,
yeah.
It doesn't bother me that he doesn't. It's just, it was
shocking.
It was shocking in India. Now I did not visit Mumbai and Calcutta, which are probably, and even Chennai, which are huge cities. And I think the more cosmopolitan an environment, I think the more likely you'll get more, all kinds of people, free thinkers and nonconformists, so on. But everywhere I went in India, people were devoutly faithful.
Well, that I guess, because, well, actually, another part of the family, my ex's sister has Indian, one of her sons married an Indian woman. And so she thinks Moisi is a Nazi or something. I don't know what the woman, she's a professor, I don't know what her religion would be. But her.
You're referring to the Prime Minister of India?
Yeah, what's his name? Something like Moisi or Moshi or.
No, I know, yeah. Here, we'll
The
find
one
out.
that's not been kind to the Muslims.
He's the leader of a Hindu nationalist party, the BJP.
Oh, okay, good. That's the man.
Yeah.
And anyway,
Yeah, we'll get his name
he
here.
certainly hasn't been friends to the Muslims.
Right.
So well, anyway,
Modi,
thank you.
Narendra Modi.
So that's an interesting idea, this Indian country. So, I mean, I'm thinking of that Trump rally with Modi. I mean, it was so disgusting, beginning of the pandemic. There's
I remember.
millions and millions and millions of people indoors. Yeah.
That was in the US, wasn't it? Modi was visiting here.
No, it was in India somewhere. He was in, I thought so.
I thought it was vice versa, but I don't.
No,
I'm not sure.
it was there.
If he is castigating Hinduism, which I think he is, but he doesn't come right out and say it, I think he's failing to understand Hinduism in some other ways. One is, if he's implying that a circular view of history and the caste system, which means you are born into a caste, you have to stay in your caste, you cannot marry outside your caste, you cannot rise above your caste if you're in a lower caste. if he's criticizing that, which I think he is, that it's just not fair, because the goal of Hinduism is to get to break out of all the cycles of life, so you can attain enlightenment. In this lifetime, maybe not, but in the future lifetimes, by your good behavior, then yes. So to say that someone in India does not have an incentive to improve themselves, which is a criticism of the caste system, I don't think that's fair or accurate.
Well, Gandhi was a Hindu,
Yes, yes.
and he certainly was against, I mean, I don't know
And
about
he was
did
against the caste system,
Oh, I would think so,
and he was in favor of a multi-religious society. And
right.
it broke his heart that petition happened.
Oh,
you know,
I see.
He did not want, he wanted a united India, not a divided India. And it was a defeat for him when the Hindu and the Muslim politicians decided that the best thing would be to divide the country.
Yeah.
So I think, I just don't understand why he feels it so necessary to.
Mhm. Well, you know, Gandhi,
Say all
I
this.
remember a lot of Gandhi stories. He was Christ-like.
Very much, he was very impressed by the teachings of Jesus.
Yeah.
He saw in the teachings of Jesus the heart of all religions,
Mhm.
including his own.
And the way he brought up the poor to give them the country, their cotton and their weaving skills, anything to bring them into the full
Right.
life and
Progress.
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 Thank you.
He believed in progress.
Right.
And I read the Constitution of India when I was there. It actually enshrines socialism as a national ideology.
Interesting.
Now, when I think of India, I don't think of a socialist country, but socialism is different than communism, and there are many different kinds of socialism.
Right.
But in 1947, if they enshrined socialism as a national ideal, it tells me that we're all going to pull together and make this place better.
Yeah.
Now that the British are out, we're going to come together and make this a thriving, modern society. That was the vision for India. And when I visited people, it's still the vision of India.
When was that?
I was there for 3 months in 2010 on sabbatical. So it was 11 years ago. So maybe I'm reading too much critique of other religions into Cahill, but.
Well, when you talk like that, you know, this book becomes less interesting.
And Buddhism is definitely a philosophy of breaking free of the endless cycles of birth and rebirth in this lifetime.
Breaking free of the endless cycles of birth and rebirth.
Right. That's the wheel.
Yes, but
We keep coming back.
fact.
We keep coming back. We keep coming back.
And you want to, but I don't understand such a simplification. What are you getting at?
Yeah,
Of course, we both are born and we die, and then somebody follows us in our life.
that's not what that means.
That's not what you're saying.
That means that everyone has a soul, if you will, Atma. And when we finish our life on this earth, we are reborn.
Oh, that's what you
In the
are.
next
Oh,
life.
I know the concept. Okay. Yes.
It's called reincarnation.
Yeah. So that's what the circle meant to you.
That's what it means to a lot of people.
That's what it means. Okay.
But,
That's what
and I think that's what he's castigating here.
Oh.
This idea that, well, since we cannot control our fate and our fate is in the hands of the gods or
Yes.
something, then what can we do? But that's not what Hinduism is. Hinduism is about breaking free into a better life next time, or breaking free of all of it in this time with Buddhism. That if one can attain complete enlightenment in this lifetime, which is what the Buddha taught, then we will be done and finished. with all this suffering, not only in this life, but in the life to come. It begins to sound a lot more like heaven and
Yeah.
processive history,
Yes.
right? And the way one of the classic means of attaining salvation in Hinduism is good works. Good works. The Jews did not invent good works, Cahill. I was not very fond of this book. I'm glad to read it. I'm glad to see someone's perspective, but
Yeah.
he did not convince me of anything.
You know, it also is very, now I'm not schooled in what's Catholic and what isn't. But hell, do Protestants believe in hell?
Most do.
Okay.
I don't. Most do.
Yeah, I don't, but this is a rewriting of hell. I mean, your afterlife as a Hindu isn't quite as good as if your life on earth wasn't. I mean, it matches, doesn't it? At least when that sounds Catholic to me.
You are promoted or demoted.
Oh, you do get to be demoted.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's true. Well.
So yeah, it does sound like sound like the more Western monotheistic religions. Yes.
My daughter-in-law, the Pakistani woman, is absolutely gorgeous. Of course, when 9/11 came on, we all wondered how she's going to get on an airplane, the way she looked. She worked for the UN.
Mm.
She traveled a lot. And we joked, she said, you know, she's a Hindu. She wouldn't hurt a fly.
So she is Hindu, not.
Oh, they're
not
definitely Hindu.
But are you saying her family was from Pakistan though?
They were from northern something India. And when everything was divided, they got into the Pakistan side. I don't know.
That they went the wrong way.
Well, babe, I don't know. I know that they lived in a northern place.
Yeah.
And they went the wrong way. Well, they are definitely Hindu.
So I'm wondering if their family was born in what is today Pakistan. And they went toward India. That's
in this case, they went, maybe that's it.
So before partition, there was just one country called India.
Yeah.
And Muslims tended to be in what is today Pakistan. But there were Hindus in Pakistan. There were also Christians and there were Sikhs.
Yes.
And at partition, there was a bloodbath of people Hindus trying to rush from Pakistan to India. Hindus in India trying to rush to Pakistan.
I see.
And Sikhs getting crushed from both sides.
Oh, really?
There's a book I read in India called Train to Pakistan. And it's a novel, but it's very much based on real events, true events. I don't know how many tens of thousands of people lost their lives in these brutal slayings, massacres.
Yeah.
Hindus against Muslims, Muslims against Hindus, and everybody against the Sikhs. And what happened to the Christians, I don't know, but there were and are Christians in India and Pakistan.
I know there's a Christian area down in the south. So Beam is now almost my age, and he married. So he was probably right in India, which is now Pakistan. He had to get out of there, and wherever he got out of, he grew up because he was a little kid. He could fit in the Weber, and so he's still in India. He becomes interested in physics. He's the top thing. He's the Brahmin, and he falls in love with somebody who's not in that caste.
Yes.
So to marry, and maybe for his career, they fly to Vancouver, where they could get a visa to America, but they couldn't fly directly to the United States. So then he worked for IBM all of his life as a physicist. So that's his life.
Now, how are they related to you? again?
They're my son's ex-in-laws. He married their daughter, Ritu Sharma. The name was Sharma. And so I saw Ritu, she looks gorgeous. Beam and Sushi, who live in Tucson, yeah. They were all on the wedding.
They are your ex-daughter-in-law's parents.
Yes,
I understand.
yeah.
And this is their son who got married.
This is their daughter. I'm sorry, this is their grandson who got
This
married.
is their grandson.
Yeah, their grandson and my grandson. We have the same grandson. This is the son whose brown skin might have harmed him in third grade. And certainly in kindergarten. And yeah, who's flourished at American University.
Mhm, mhm. And he's become a Christian?
Yes.
When did they convert, or when did he convert?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Sometime along those 4 years because, yeah,
He grew up Hindu?
no, they had no religion.
Oh, they did not. Uh-huh.
But Ritu's parents followed them out east because he retired from IBM. And sure enough, they got on the airplane, moved their household down the road from where my son and Ritu lived, out on the Severn River, just outside of Annapolis, and they moved right next door practically. And I don't think that went well with anyone. So they moved back to Tucson. But they were very close, and I objected in my mind because they, my son wore whatever you wear with a sari. The wedding was Hindu.
Mhm.
And the kids she wanted sari dress for Thanksgiving. I wanted to put on a sari. But Ritu didn't want that. But they tried to bring up Kai as an Indian. And although they were smart enough not to force religion or anything, there was never in the picture. But they were very close to Kai, and it's a godsend now because they're part of his strength as an adult. It's very nice to see.
Mhm.
So they have something that is a nugget of wisdom and I think joy. They have a lot of joy, these two, Beam and Sushi, as people. They have appreciation and joy that exudes from them.
Wonderful.
It's wonderful. She wants to be my friend. She wants me to come out to Tucson. We hadn't seen each other. I can't tell you. I don't know how long. 15 years, 20 years, at least 20 years. So that's a special person, I think.